Hey guys, here's a video of some of those examples that we didn't have time for in class, just to give you more samples that you can look at when you're doing those homework ones. So we didn't get to this one. This is on the first page. We need to write the equation of a line that passes through this point and is parallel to the line that has those points. All right, so neither of these seem to give us, the actual equation of the line, but that's okay. All we need to realize is if we're dealing with parallel lines, we know they must have the same slope. So your focus should be on, finding the slope and then using this point. So I look at these 2 points that make up the line they're giving me, and while they don't actually give me the slope, I can figure out the slope from those 2 points. So the slope, of course, is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So my slope is going to be -4 over -6, which is 2/3. So there's my original slope. And if I want a parallel line, well, then my new slope is also going to have to be 2/3. So I'm actually going to use this as my slope. I'm going to use this as my point, and I'm going to use that to solve for b. So I know the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. Y is 5, m is 2/3, x is 3, and then I can solve that for b. 2/3 times 3, this is like 3 over 1. The 3's will cancel. 5 equals 2 plus b, so b equals 3. So b is 3, the slope is 2/3. So then the equation of my new line must be y equals 2/3 x plus 3. And that is the equation of a line parallel to this line that contains those points and also has this point as a point on the line itself. If I were to plug in 3 here, I would end up getting 5. Okay, that's the one we didn't get to for parallel. For perpendicular, I think we had actually only done the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and do those first 3 just to make sure that everybody is good to go. So find the slope, of course, of a line perpendicular, and it contains those 2 points. So again, everything revolves around slope. The whole point of this is to get the connection between slope and parallel and or perpendicular lines. So I need this slope. Slope is going to be 5 minus 4 over 2 minus -3, which is 1/5. That is the slope, that is the slope of the original line that contains a and b. And I want the slope of the line perpendicular to that line. So what we said was, whatever your original slope is, you would do the opposite and take the reciprocal. That was the pattern we found. So my perpendicular slope, it's just sort of a shortcut way to write it. It's not the best way, but this means perpendicular, and that's the new slope. So my perpendicular value for slope is going to be, instead of positive, it's going to be negative, and instead of 1 over 5, it's going to be 5 over 1, which is the same as just -5. So the slope of the line perpendicular is -5. Okay? For number 2, it says write an equation of a line perpendicular to this line. So this time they're actually giving me the equation of the line. What's the slope? 2/3. So the original slope is 2/3. The slope perpendicular will be -3 over 2. And they don't give me the b value, right? They just say write an equation of a line. Doesn't mean it has to be the line and the only line, but it has to have this slope. So honestly, for this one, you could literally write y equals -3 over 2x, and you could pick any number you want. You don't even have to write it out. You could just basically leave it as 0, and it would still be perpendicular. Well, my favorite number is 3, so I'm going to pick 3. So that is the equation of a line perpendicular to the original line, and that's it. All right, and then this third one, this one you kind of have to do a little more work because it's got to be perpendicular and it has to pass through that specific point. So again, you start the same way every time. Find the slope. The slope is 4. So the perpendicular slope is going to be -1 over 4. Okay, it's opposite and reciprocal. So here's my point, x and y. So if I use y equals mx plus b, I'm going to get -3 equals -1/4 times x, which is 6, plus b. And if this is a little too difficult to do kind of in your head or whatever, if you need to use a calculator, it's better than nothing. But these fractions aren't so bad to deal with. You get 6 over 1 really times 1 over 4. That simplifies. So I get -3 over 2. So -3 over 2 plus b. I'll finish it up here. So I need to add 3 over 2 to both sides. So if you think of 3 over 2, that's like 1.5, right? So I'm adding 1.5. Well, if I'm adding 1.5 to -3, I actually get left with -1.5. And that equals b. Right, do that in the calculator if you want. Do -3 plus 1.5, and I promise you'll still get -3/2. So now I know my b value, I know my slope, so I'll finish it down here. Y equals negative 3 over 2, I'm sorry, that's the b. Sorry. Y equals negative 1/4 x minus 3 over 2. And this has the slope that represents the perpendicular line, and it passes through negative 3 over 2. If I were to plug in 6, I would get negative 3 here. Okay? So moral of the story is, when you have perpendicular lines, their slopes are opposite reciprocals, and when you have parallel lines, their slopes are exactly the same. Okay, the only thing that changes for the parallel lines is you got to make sure you have a new y-intercept depending on what they give you. All right, hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, be sure and let me know, and I will see you guys later.